Who's somebody that maybe's been kind of under the radar, maybe when people were talking about this team that you've been really pleased with in seeing the progress they've made over the last 2 to 3 weeks?
Yeah, knowing me, I'm probably not going to single anybody out.
Yeah.
I just tell you the rookies as a class. I think they've definitely made strides. You've seen it in the games, which is always important when they take the practice field to the game. So I think that's been great. Plenty of room to grow for those guys, making mistakes, which you expect to see, but always good to see a rookie class get some game action in these preseason games.
You guys picked a punter yesterday. How much of a difference maker can Corey's leg be? It looks like he kicks the ball.
Yeah, I mean, you want your punter to be a weapon. So Corey is somebody that we're excited about when we went out and got him, to be able to use him in some plus 50 situations, especially pin a defense down. We almost had an opportunity to do that in the last game. And then, that ability to hold and that battery between Charlie, Corey, and Cade is important.
We talked to Miles earlier today. He really made a point to say what a jump Jordan Elliott has made. You've been here all 3 years with him. How have you seen him progress?
Yeah, Jeff, I think we've talked about Jordan. He's walking by right now. Talked about him quite a bit, and it goes back to the spring. I think he committed himself to physically getting bigger and stronger and being a pro at this, and he's done it. So he's a young man that's I think maturing, and his game has come along as well.
When we talked to Miles too, he brought up he's talked about this before, but some of the little things he's changed this offseason to improve his core, try to maybe get rid of those nagging injuries that pop up throughout the season, and some mental changes he's made. I guess just have you seen those little things come out when he's on the field yet? And I know Joe Woods has talked about how he thinks he still has so much more to give. I guess just your thoughts in general.
Yeah, I think when you see Miles at practice, for the offensive staff, they don't love having Miles out there because he can ruin a practice pretty quickly, just because he's so physically gifted. Now, having said that, I know Coach Kiff, and I think Miles would also say he does have room to grow. There's areas of his game that he wants to get better at, and I know Kiff and he have talked about that and have worked that. But the mental side of that, I think every player has room to improve. Every coach has room to improve when it comes to that area.
On the subject of young guys, it seems like a lot's going to be expected or asked of some of your young receivers. I'm just curious, how have you seen them handle the ebbs and flows, the good days and the bad days, and that type of thing?
Yeah, I think it is a young room in there, and I think Coach O'Shea's done a really nice job with those guys, understanding how to be a pro and how to study and those type of things. So there's good days, there's bad days, and then big thing for receivers is you have to move on. You got to move on from one play to the next.
Tony Fields has played a lot of snaps over the first 2 preseason games. What have you seen out of him this year? Just in the strides he's taken from last year to this year, and what kind of impact he could have for this football team?
Yeah, Tony's done a nice job. He played a lot of football for us last season on special teams, and that's going to be another area, or will continue to be an area that he can make a big impact on Sundays. He's gotten a ton of reps at linebacker, and we may be counting on him at certain points this season. So he's trying to put it all together, but it's just a matter of just stacking reps for Tony.
After a preseason game, and you get those takeaways of things guys can improve on. When you're back here on a practice field, how do you go about individually targeting those areas while also broadening them with the team? What's that
Yeah, it's a good question, Cam. I think for all these guys, you want to come out onto the practice field with something to improve. Sometimes you make them write it down. What do you want to get better at today? Sometimes you have an opportunity to do that in an individual period right away. Sometimes that's for after practice where you're working maybe by yourself, maybe with one other player. But you do want them to walk on this field thinking that there's an area, a very specific area that they need to improve.
Once you get into regular season, is there less time for these young guys to improve? I mean, they're so concerned with the game plan in a given week. Does that cut back on their learning?
No, well, I think to your point, Tony, we are handing them a game plan, and we're trying to test them. So we're giving them a lot today and tomorrow, and we want them. All right, here's a game plan. I got to study this. I got to know this, and then I'm going to pour it out after this week, and we're going to challenge them. We're putting a lot of scheme in this week that we may not necessarily run in the game, but I want to challenge them mentally. Having said all that, you still have opportunities out here in individual period after practice to hone in on your skills. I don't think you ever go a day without working your fundamentals in this game.
What stands out about Yelda?
Yelda's very, very strong, plays really physical, intelligent player, has played in a bunch of different schemes, so he's done a nice job.
You ever been to Denmark?
I have not. It's on my list, though.
Is it kind of impressive though when a guy, kind of recommits his whole life to coming over here just because he likes football?
Yeah, he's got an amazing story. I know this. His teammates really like him. He works extremely hard.
Let's do practice in Denmark next summer.
Let's go. Joint practices in Denmark.
Hey, what is your, Kevin, this week you said you're going to challenge the guys, what have you. From a coaching standpoint, I know you got a lot to process, especially when you're going through, team drills. Where does your eye go first? What are you looking for? Are you fine-tuning things at this point in camp?
Yeah, I think you are, Tom. I think you're, at this point in camp, you're into the third preseason game, so you're starting to streamline into what you may be doing in week one. We're not a team, and most teams don't show you much in the preseason, so we won't show much in those games. But here out at practice, we're going to try some different things and move guys around the formation and use different defenses and offenses that we want to get reps on and feel comfortable then taking it into the season.
How much will these couple of practices here impact your decision as far as how much you want to play your regular Saturday night?
I don't think the practices themselves will have much of an impact on that. That's something I've really just started talking to the coaches about. I'll talk once we make a decision. I'll talk to the team about it. But these practices are more just a matter of getting good work in.
Is it that the point where Watson works only on his own, or does he still take reps?
He'll still take reps, maybe more in show team type looks, going against our defense, carded type periods. But everything that Deshaun does out here on the practice field, when it comes to individual show team reps, post-practice work, off to the side work, I think it all adds up.
You expect Greg back soon?
I do. Soon.
Today?
Getting close.
Was Isaiah able to make it to Tulsa for the baby?
He was there for the baby. Yes, he was. He had to be.
Is he back yet?
What's today?
Tuesday?
I think he's coming back tonight.
Kevin, it seems like you're pretty generous with giving guys an opportunity to go be with their family. I know baby's different, but even Miles, missed 4 practices to be with the family member. Can you just talk about your philosophy on the whole family piece?
Yeah, I don't know it's necessarily my philosophy, Mary Kay. I just think we're all human. We have all of us have things going on outside of these walls and in our personal lives, and just want to make sure that we're here to support our guys.
When you have the joint practices, you get together with the other coaching staff and kind of lay things out. Curious, when it comes to preseason, is there any type of conversation that happens between coaches as far as, hey, be nice if we could do this in the game at some point or things like that, or is it just strict competition?
No, I talk to the coaches every week. I talked to Coach Eberflus yesterday, and really you're trying to make sure that both sides can get work done, but you don't want to surprise anybody. So, in the last game, we weren't going to go into goal line personnel. Really, any preseason game, you're not going to get into goal line personnel. You're not going to zero blitz the other team. So those are some of the rules of engagement in the preseason, just to make sure that you're getting solid work done and you're really working together in that regard.